Hi everyone and welcome to Stitch by Irem. In this tutorial we are going to be making this incredible, cute and elegant crochet bow keychain. Whether you want to add a handmade touch to your bags to create the perfect personalized gift, this project is for you. Let's start! The materials you will need to get started are a small amount of yarn, as this project is very yarn friendly, a 3mm crochet hook, a keychain ring, and since I'll be adding beads, I will also need a fine needle and some beads. Now let's start. I'm going to start this project by chaining 50. Don't worry about the length because we will be folding it in half and tying it right in the middle later on, so chain 50. After chaining 50, I'm folding it in half to check the final size. If you would like a smaller piece, feel free to keep your starting chain shorter. Now I'm going to skip the first two chains and work a half double crochet into the third chain. To do a half double crochet, insert your hook into the chain, yarn over and pull up a loop, then yarn over again and pull up through all three loops. Now you are going to keep going with a half double crochet in every single stitch until you reach the end of the row. Take your time with this part and try to keep your tension consistent. It really helps the final piece look much neater. Once you finish the row, you will start to see that beautiful texture building up. Once you have finished the first row, chain 2 and turn your work. As for that starting yarn tail, you can either weave it in later using your hook or a needle, or you can just crochet right over it as you go to hide it, whichever you find easier. I usually prefer the crochet over the tail because it saves so much time later on. Now I chain 2, and for our second row we are going to continue with the half double crochet. But here's the trick. This time we will only be inserting the hook into the back loop of each stitch. This is what we call working in the BLO. Working in the back loop creates these beautiful raised ridges and gives the fabric a lot more stretch and dimension. It's a super simple way to make your project look much more detailed and professional without any extra effort. And after finishing the second row with those BLO half double crochets, I'm going to chain 2 and turn to start the third row. We are going to keep the same pattern going for a bit, but this time we will only insert our hook the front side. And we are doing something a little different. Instead of working into the back loop like we did in the previous row, we are going to work our half double crochets into the front loop, the one that's facing us. And working in the front loop, VLO, creates a different kind of texture and helps the piece fold or curve exactly where we want it to. So it might feel a bit different at first, but just make sure you're catching that front strand only. You will see how it creates a nice contrast with the previous rows. And now for this row I chain 2 and we are going to continue with the BLO half double crochet once again. We are heading back to that familiar BLO technique. Just keep placing your half double crochets in the back loops all the way across. Now we have made it to our final row. For this one I'm going to chain 2 and work only into the front loop, VLO, all the way across. You can already see it starting to take shape. This is the last stretch. I love how the front loop only stitches create that subtle texture right at the finish. It's so satisfying to see our piece finally coming together. It's looking great already. Finally, our first piece is finished. I really want those raised ridges to be to the outside, so I'm going to fold it and join the sides from the wrong side. This way the seam stays hidden and nice and flat. To join them you can use either slip stitch or a single crochet. Now I will do slip stitch at first and after that I will continue slip stitching. Now we are joining both sides together. Here's the pro tip. When you cut the yarn, make sure to leave a long tail. It's super important because we are going to be wrapping it around the center later on to create the final shape. So continue to slip stitch, join them, and after that cut the yarn, but cut the yarn long. As you can see, I'm not cutting it close to the stitch, I'm leaving a generous amount of yarn, really quite a long tail. And now I will fasten off and hold it like this. Into the middle it will come, and I will wrap it around. Now I'm just going to smooth it out with my hands and tie this long tail securely. Be careful though, don't pull too hard or the yarn might snap. We want it nice and firm, but not at the breaking point. After wrapping the yarn, I'm using my hook to pull the tail through the stitches and tie a knot to secure everything in place. And I will do it a couple of times to not unravel it. I like to weave it through a couple of times just to be extra sure. This way our wrapping stays nice and tight and the whole piece feels super sturdy. You want the knot to be hidden, so tuck it in between the stitches and we are good to go. Once I am sure everything is nice and secure, I'm cutting the yarn. And there we go, our first piece is finished. Now let's get started on the second one. For our second piece, I am going to start by chaining 35. Now moving on to the second part, this one is going to be slightly smaller than the first, so we are only going to chain 35 this time. Keep your tension nice and even, just like we did before. Once I have finished my chains, I am going to skip the first two and work a half double crochet into each remaining chain across. Moving on the second row, I am going to chain 2 and turn. Then we will just keep going with the half double crochet exactly the same way as we did in the first row. And this time we won't do any yellow or yellow. Now I'm going to chain 2 again and keep going with the half double crochet. We are staying in the routine, just chain 2 to get that height and work your half double crochets across the row. You have already mastered this stitch, so this part should be nice and relaxing for you. Now I'll cut the yarn, and it's a long tail as you see again. Now I'm going to fold the piece in half and sew it right onto the center of the ribbon. I didn't want to add extra yarn and deal with messy ends, so I left a long tail on this piece specifically so I could use it for sewing. Since I'm going to be sewing it exactly from the center, I'm using my needle to weave the yarn through the stitches until I reach the middle of this second piece. This is a much cleaner way to get your yarn to right spot without having to cut it and start over. Just a few small stitches through the back and we are right in the center ready to join everything together. Now I'm folding it in half and sewing it first just to secure this shape. Once that's set, I am going to join it with the first piece we made earlier. I like to do this in 2 steps to make sure everything stays perfectly aligned. First we lock in that folded shape and then we attach it to our main piece. You can really see how the design is coming together now. This part is going to take a little bit of time to sew, so I'm just going to take my time and make sure everything is nice and secure. Sewing this up takes a bit of patience, but it's so worth it for a neat finish. Now let's move on to the tiny crochet piece for the center. I'm starting with 14 chains and then I will work one single crochet into each chain. Once that's done, I will sew this piece right onto the main body to finish it off. I have finished my 14 chains and I'm going to skip the first one and work on single crochet into the second chain from the hook. Once I have finished this small strip, I'm cutting the yarn, leaving a long tail once again, so I can use it to sew the centerpiece right onto the bow. And I always make sure to leave plenty of yarn for sewing part because it makes the final assembly so much easier and more secure. We are going to wrap this little strip around the middle to give our bow that perfect pinched look. Let's get sewing. As I'm sewing the center strap, I'm first joining the two ends of the strap together. Once that's secure, I will then sew it directly onto the main bow itself to keep everything in place. I find it much easier to close the loop of the strap first before attaching it to the body. This way we can make sure the center is perfectly tight and centered before we do the final stitches. It really gives the bow that beautiful pinched in look we are going for. Now it's time for the finishing touch. I'm going to ahead and attach the keychain hardware. I'm going to use the same yarn tail from before to attach the chain hardware. Once that's sewn on, our bow is actually ready to go. You can definitely stop here if you like this look, but I'm going to take it one step further and add some beads for extra charm. Once I have tied off the remaining yarn, I will weave in the ends to hide them. After that, I am finally ready to move on the beading phase. Now I am going to start sewing on the beads. Instead of placing them one by one in a strict pattern, I am going to attach them in clusters with a more random organic look. This beading part is definitely taking quite a lot of time. I'm not going to lie, sewing on each of these beads takes a little bit of patience. It's a slow process, but it's so worth it for the final sparkle. If you're following along, this is the perfect time to put on some music or your favorite podcast and just enjoy the craft. And there we have it. Our beautiful beaded bow keychain is officially complete. If you enjoyed making this with me, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Stitch by Iram for more crochet tutorials. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Happy stitching!